Well, thank you for joining us for this special presentation, Solar Eclipse 17. I'm Courtney Kane.
And I'm meteorologist Joe Rayo. And all across America, millions witnessed history as the eclipse swept across the nation. And I was fortunate, very fortunate enough to see it from 40,000 feet above the Pacific Northwest.
3, 2, 1, there it is!
Pure jubilation from 40,000 feet in the atmosphere.
Totality. Beautiful. Totality. Beautiful.
That moment of totality, quite a sight to see. Nature gracing us with this great American eclipse. The emotion on this special chartered flight, overwhelming for those lucky enough to be on board.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. To see that, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just so awe-inspiring. The whole plane got quiet. It was like just such a cathartic thing that everybody was just so in tune and just concentrating.
It just felt like you were looking into complete darkness with these wild, you know, bright tentacles coming out of it. It was truly, truly amazing.
The 100 people on board, including yours truly, provided one of the first and best views of this historic event, from totality to the awe-inspiring sight of the corona, and then the diamond ring. For scientists, astronomers, and veteran eclipse chasers like me, this eclipse ranking among the best.
It was much more intense, much sharper, I'll say more contrasty than the other eclipses I've seen.
This is really spectacular, and just being able to see it from 40,000 feet means you have a horizon view. You can see the whole shadow, that 70-mile wide black hole going over the surface of the Earth at 4,000 miles an hour.
From high above to the ground, the Rose State, the first state to experience the spectacle of darkness happening in broad daylight. Eyes gazed up at the sky, all astonished by this celestial beauty.
I saw basically just God's creation, really. That's all I can explain. It was totally amazing and breathtaking, and it left me in awe.
And first of all, here are my
you have your
glasses.
glasses.
Alaska Airlines was very nice to provide all of us with these real classy eclipse glasses. And it was my 12th eclipse, and after every eclipse, I always bring out my lucky eclipse hat. And I have a 12 right here to indicate that this was now a full dozen eclipses that I've seen. I'm looking forward to the next one, possibly in 2024.
Absolutely. And quick question for you. You said that this is probably among the best. Why did this rank so high?
It was among the best for me because at 40,000 feet is the highest I've ever been. I've been in aircraft before for total eclipses, but at that altitude, the sky was especially transparent, deep shades of blue when totality hit, and we got to see that beautiful corona extend outward, probably for a longer stretch in the sky as opposed to being on the ground with, you know, some haze and clouds.
Incredible. I'm so glad you're able to share it with us.
I'm so glad I was able to see it and share it all of you.
All right, thank you, Joe. Well, now the eclipse by the numbers. From hours in traffic to health concerns to the internet blowing up. Here's more on the excitement and the aftermath of this spectacular celestial event. In the shadow of that amazing eclipse. On Twitter, more than 6 million tweets about the Great American Eclipse. Over on Facebook, NASA's live stream had more than 29 million views, and it was much more than just digital traffic. Some of the first people in the nation to see the total eclipse in Madras, Oregon had to wait 4 hours to get out of the parking lot at the Solar Fest.
Was it worth it? 20 hours?
Oh, yeah! In Rigby, Idaho, where NASA had set up bumper-to-bumper traffic, getting out of the city for more than 20 miles. Perhaps many of those drivers had this song on repeat.
Total eclipse of the heart.
Total Eclipse of the Heart music video skyrocketed. Hundreds of thousands watching and listening to the song as the eclipse made its way across America. On iTunes, the song jumping to #1, beating Despacito. On Twitter, interest for the eclipse was nationwide, but just look, the most tweets followed roughly the same path as the path of totality. All day long, the top solar eclipse question: how to view the solar eclipse without glasses. So maybe it's not surprising that one of the top searches after the eclipse was seeing spots. Oh boy. Well, this was the first eclipse of the social media era to pass through such a heavily populated area. The last coast-to-coast total eclipse was back in 1918 when Woodrow Wilson was president. And the last total solar eclipse in the U.S. was in 1979.
And we're just getting, by the way, I was at that 1979 eclipse.
Say.
We're just getting started with this Solar Eclipse 17 special. Up next, More of the excitement from across our area with this spectacular event captivated both young and old and sparking students to want to learn more about science. But before we go, here are some images of our viewers shared with us for Solar Eclipse 17.
Welcome back. Well, across the tri-state, it didn't get that dark, but the eclipse was still a spectacle in the sky.
On Long Island, for example, we found enthusiasts set on seeing this astronomical phenomenon at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Garden City. FiOS 1's Logan Crawford attended the viewing party there.
People gazed up at the sky through the safety of their eclipse glasses to look at this special event.
The fact that it happens so rarely and the fact that you never really get to see it unless you have like the special glasses.
Boy Scout Troop 824 from Baldwin came to the eclipse viewing party at the Cradle of Aviation. Eagle Scout Kenneth Bradley researched the event and helped get his troop to Garden City.
Thought that we should do something with the solar eclipse, so I looked this up and we decided to come here for the day.
Nathan E. Marino is here for the educational aspect of the eclipse.
Astronomy is my favorite subject in school.
It's $15 for admission to the museum, and on Monday that included the solar eclipse activities. Linda Gordon says this was first on her to-do list.
I'd be going to the gym, I'd be shopping, I'd be doing some gardening, maybe go to the beach. I don't know, a million things, but this is much more interesting.
And many parents came with their kids to catch the eclipse. What can you tell me about the excitement of today? Why did you want to come see the eclipse?
Because I've never seen it before. I want to see something new.
Museum staff were on hand all day here to explain how to safely watch the eclipse. Reporting in Garden City, I'm Logan Crawford, FiOS 1 News.
Well, those in the Garden State, they didn't miss out on this very rare spectacle. FiOS 1's Raven Santana has all the excitement from a viewing party at Rutgers.
It's just really surreal. Nicola Lurie joined more than 100 spectators here at the rooftop of the Astronomy and Physics building at Rutgers University to watch the partial solar eclipse our state experienced.
Waited like at least 20 to 30 minutes, to get up here. It's crazy.
Lines formed inside a dome where people could directly look at the sun through this 20-inch telescope. Which one is your favorite? Was it here in the dome or on the rooftop?
On the dome.
On the dome. Why is that?
Because I got to see the 20-inch telescope.
And outside on the building's rooftop, lines continued where eclipse glasses and smaller telescopes were offered.
Okay, this is an 8-inch telescope where we have a filter out here. It's looking at the sun. So we have a filter here to remove most of the light entering the telescope.
But not everyone wanted to rely on special glasses or viewing parties and decided to make homemade solar eclipse viewers.
Then I decided, okay, let me make something. I just search online and find out we can make a pinhole box. So I just find a box, punch a hole and cut open. So I can see the projection of the solar eclipse. So it's safe and we are.
And whether it was the solar eclipse glasses, a telescope, or something homemade, everyone I spoke with, despite gender or age, agreed that New Jersey's solar eclipse was everything that they hoped for. At Rutgers University, Raven Santana, FiOS 1 News.
And people here in the Hudson Valley didn't miss out either. FiOS 1's Ariana Lubelli talked to excited eclipse viewers watching from the Hudson River Museum in Yonkers.
Hundreds of eager eclipse viewers and dedicated astronomy enthusiasts gathered at the Hudson River Museum in Yonkers for the rare phenomenon.
I want to see the solar eclipse happening.
It's nice to enjoy it while you can and experience it and see the joy of the kids and other people in doing this. They have something to talk about. It's a memory that lasts a lifetime.
A lot of people almost never get to see this, so this is a really fun opportunity.
Attendees who made it inside the museum were able to watch the eclipse through a special UV filtered telescope.
Come to see the solar eclipse in a safe environment, the planetarium. And this was on my bucket list, so I'm fulfilling one of the things on my list.
Solar eclipse viewing glasses sold out quickly, so many watched through their own homemade viewing devices.
An organic brown rice crisps box.
And just follow the instructions to make a viewer.
and get a projection of the sun's image.
That you can see the sun from here, so you don't need to look at the sun, you can just look from here.
Terry Nagai witnessed the 1991 solar eclipse in Hawaii.
Oh, it'll be wonderful. Of course, it's just about 70%. It's not total, but it'll still be. The fact that people know that this hasn't happened, it'll happen within their lifetimes.
The eclipse was also live streamed from the West Coast for viewers throughout the afternoon. And the museum was actually closed today, but opened up for this special event. So many people showed up that they had to start rotating people out of the museum and through the different exhibits. Definitely brought a lot of people together here in Yonkers. Reporting from Yonkers, Ariana Libelli, FiOS 1 News.
Well, here's a question for you. Do you think productivity in the workplace took a hit when the moon darkened the sun?
Well, if you said yes, you would be right. But can you guess how much it cost the economy? The answer is coming up. But before a break, here are more images captured by our viewers of the solar eclipse 17.
Welcome back. Well, the solar eclipse could cost American businesses nearly $700 million in lost productivity. That's according to the global outplacement firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas, Inc., which analyzed federal data to figure out who would be taking a break to watch the moon block the sun. Now, the firm says it would take about 20 minutes for an average person to prepare and find a place to view the eclipse, costing about $8 per employee.
And now to that moment that thrilled thousands upon thousands across our area, the peak eclipse experience. Meteorologists Brian Fitzgerald and Addison Green, along with Courtney, brought it to our audience live.
All right, folks, we are just a couple seconds away from what we would see as the maximum portion of the eclipse here around the New York metro area. You could see that crescent-looking portion of the sun, so the moon passing just a little bit lower than the sun is in our area to that 71% eclipsed. So we're not in the path of totality, but we are in a partial eclipse, and it's definitely more than half. And this is the maximum potential here locally that you're going to see, and pretty impressive shot, Courtney.
Yeah.
And we remember safety with this at this
With
point.
the eyewear,
yeah.
We saw the President and First Lady, as we have said, putting their eyewear on, looking up. 20 seconds, I didn't count how long they looked up, but they took a moment to look down. You need to give your eyes a rest. Yeah, you can still see right there out at the White House. It looks like they're handing off the glasses so everyone can get a look. I believe that's Barron there. And again, you can see in the other shot here in the tri-state, what we're seeing right now, we should be right at that peak. It's about 71% coverage that we're going to see. I'm curious too, Mr. S, how long will it take for this to revert back to, if you will, the normal daylight that we would see?
The eclipse should last for like about 2 minutes or so. Okay, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So basically that'll be that, but the entire event is about almost like 2 hours or so. So people that are outside there right now, what they're experiencing, there should be a dimming, like Addison was saying before, there's like someone just turned down the dimmer switch, or the temperature has slightly just went down. That's what people should be experiencing outside. I guess somewhat towards twilight, I guess would say.
Sure, yeah, I think early evening would be a good bet with that.
Yeah.
I know they're experiencing totality now down in South Carolina as well. Interesting points is that the temperature comes down a couple degrees. It could have some effects on animals. I've heard stories of chickens going home to roost, animals thinking it's nighttime, owls hooting, maybe the possibility of crickets starting to chirp a little bit.
You just never know.
So all interesting things. Our director says roosters crowing.
I should have put a camera out to film my chickens today and see what happens. But
that would be cool.
Everyone's affected by this because this is not something that we see every day. And even more so going back to 2024, that will be a total solar eclipse because we will be directly in the path of totality at that point, correct?
And I think you have to think about some of the effects that come along with a total solar eclipse that's coming up the eastern seaboard from Texas all the way through New England. Think about the amount of major American cities that will be in the path of that. I mean, from Houston to Dallas, probably crossing Nashville, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, Boston. I mean, the list goes on. And so that 2024, and we don't have to wait 100 years for it to come, pretty impressive stuff. And look, it's already starting to come back a bit. You can already tell.
You should book your room now if you're planning on coming here to watch.
Oh, you didn't book yours yet, Courtney?
Oh, get on that right away. All right.
So yeah, it's very, very impressive looking picture outside at this point. We're talking about the different variations earlier, John, of eclipses. This one is does have a path of totality, but you were also speaking about annual or annular.
Okay, annular is like the one I mentioned before. Basically, because of the distance varying from Earth with the moon, the position would actually have to be apogee to have an annular eclipse.
Okay, all right, we'll check back in with you and we'll talk about that a little more. And again, it's already starting to dissipate at this point, so I'm hoping that people got a look at this. Very exciting stuff. Meantime, we're going to go to meteorologist Addison Green, who's taking us outside right now on how the eclipse is impacting us here in the tri-state area. Hey, Addison.
Here we are taking a look at the peak of the event right here, the peak of the total eclipse, looking roughly about 71% of the sun being covered up by the moon. And it is simply a beautiful sight to see.
Well, up next, the best spots to catch the next solar eclipse, and that's just a few short years away. But first, your pictures of this solar eclipse 17.
Well, there is plenty of excitement surrounding the solar eclipse, but not for everyone, because some believe the eclipse means the end of the world is near. Reporter Danya Backus explains.
For astronomers and many eclipse watchers,
seeing one is truly a life-changing experience.
The total eclipse on August 21st means nothing more than an extremely rare occurrence of the moon casting a shadow on Earth. But for decades, scientists say people have believed a total solar eclipse means doom.
It wasn't just a threat on the sun or the moon, though. It was a threat on the whole universe. This was a reversal of what ordinary life is supposed to be.
I think biblically and prophetically, this solar eclipse is huge.
Pastor Mark Biltz, author of the book God's Daytimer, believes this total eclipse, the first in 99 years to cross the United States, is a spiritual message.
I totally believe that this is a warning from God to the United States that we need to repent as a nation or judgment will be coming.
And he's not the only one who believes the eclipse is a harbinger. David Mead, author of Planet X, the 2017 arrival, says the eclipse signals the end of the world when the mystical planet Nibiru will crash into Earth. But what if the end of the world doesn't really have literal meaning? Traffic in the eclipse zone could be a disaster 4 times worse than a normal day. And have you seen the astronomical prices for rooms? They're going for $1,000 a night. Fake eclipse glasses were sold when you need the real ones like these to see it. And with the sky going dark for minutes, solar energy outputs could take a hit.
We want to make sure we have our power plants in reserve that can take up the slack when the eclipse is happening.
Danya Backus, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And now more images from the Great American Eclipse, some you may not have seen, plus where to go in 2024 for the next eclipse. This image emerging tonight, the total solar eclipse from on board a NASA Gulfstream, 25,000 feet above the Oregon coast, right through the window. This is a composite image showing the actual progression of the eclipse over Ross Lake in northern Cascades National Park. And this moment, David Colturi diving from a 20-meter platform into a pool in front of that full solar eclipse in McMinnville, Oregon. It was a dance with the clouds in so many places. This partial solar eclipse behind a windmill in Hiawatha, Kansas. And this image captured over the Statue of Liberty. Millions of Americans looking up in awe, and children and this little guy's dream of one day being even closer. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Book your rooms now. Total solar eclipse uniting us in that moment. Some of those images just incredible.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Well, that does it for this special presentation, Solar Eclipse 17.
And on behalf of everyone here at FiOS 1 News, we thank you for joining us and hope to see you back in less than 7 years for the next full solar eclipse. Goodbye, everybody.